All right, let's switch gears to the Bengals, Skinny, unless you got anything else on college basketball.
Nope, I'm all good right there.
All right, just a couple of Bengals topics to get to. We'll go back to the T. Higgins well. I mean, it feels like we talk about him every week. He was officially franchise tagged. Skinny, a lot of people got worked up about this again. It seems like we knew this was coming. So what does this mean now that he is actually franchise tagged?
And I don't understand why people got worked up about it. It's either you tag him or he walks to free agency next Wednesday. I mean, is that what you wanted? I know people want the deal done. People need to keep this in mind. Because he was franchise tagged last year, by rule, you cannot start negotiating a contract for an extension until the 2024 season had ended. That was on whatever that was, January 6th. Could you argue that 2 months have gone by? Yeah, but when you're doing a nuanced deal like this, that sometimes isn't enough time either. So all this did was it bought you 4 more months to negotiate. It also guarantees one of two things. T. Higgins is going to be on this roster in 2025, whether he likes it or not, or you're going to have some trade value there with T. Higgins. I'm going to take them at their word, Rick, that they want to get a deal done. I just don't know what I've talked about this. I don't want to prove. No, everybody on the beat that I cover with, none of us really know where the line in the sand is. I saw a story on CBS Sports today. Joel Corey, who's an agent, I find a lot of his stuff really, really good. He calls it an agent's take, and he tried to set a market value for 10 offensive free agents, and he included T in the mix, and he had T at a market value of $31.1 million per year. And I thought, God, that feels awful steep. That just feels just like a hair too steep. And if we get to that level, maybe you just say, you know what, we're good. You're going to play on the tag, and you know what they can do next year for a third year? It's going to cost them. It'll cost them 140% of what he's currently making, so it's going to be in the $30 million. They can tag him again.
What did he get paid last year on the tag? Is it top 10 money? Top 10 is
yeah. He got $21.8 million, and so if you get tagged a second time, I think the market rate for wide receivers this year was 24.5. But because T got a second tag, his tag price is 120% of what he made last year. That's why he's got $26 million. Next year, if they do it a third time, it's 140% of what he makes this year. So it's a pretty good bump.
So Skinny, I just wonder when we're talking about drawing the line in the sand. I mean, you've now already paid him top 10 wide receiver money last year. Now he gets a bonus on that at 120%. So you're paying him $26 million this year. So you're not like $48 million over the last 2 years for him. You're talking about potentially another franchise tag, which has never happened. No one's ever done the third franchise tag because it's too cost prohibitive. Right. But I mean, just even these last 2 years, depending on how long of a deal we're talking about, if it's 4 or 5 years down the line, you've already paid 2 years of primo money. Are they really saving that? What are they negotiating for here? Are they saving that much money if they're not franchise tagging him?
Well, again, if they don't, here's the thing. I don't think they feel comfortable. I don't know this for a fact, but I think this is where the comfort level is the availability factor of playing only 12 games in 23, playing only 12 games in 24. The peace of mind of going, okay, we got him this year, but we're not locked into 26 and 27 and 28 for a guy that we don't know how many games will he play. Maybe he plays them all. Track record right now suggests he's not going to do that. So am I going to really put a bunch of guaranteed money on the table for a guy I honestly don't know how many games he can play?
So I kind of get that, but then at the same time, again, you're already paying him a ton of money now, and you're still trying to negotiate a long-term contract for down the line. It just feels like you're kind of already paying him anyway. I understand you're not locked in, but you're allegedly trying to lock yourself in. So
understood, but at your price, I mean, I just think
at your price, but you're paying a premium now. So aren't you losing some money on the front end already?
I don't know. You got the peace of mind of at least keep. You had to make a decision by March the 4th whether to tag him or let him walk. So you kind of were up against it. You weren't gonna let him walk.
I hear you. I guess what I'm saying is what you're saying makes sense. But what I'm getting at is I think maybe where a lot of the frustration comes in for Bengals fans is this seems like a nickel and diming situation where you're trying to save maybe a little bit of money that you're talking about because of your concerns about his injury history, when at the end of the day, players inside your franchise are losing faith in you and no longer buying in because they don't feel like you're doing right by them. And I'm not saying you should just throw money to everyone that asks for money from you and you should give them every demand they have from a contract standpoint. But if you've decided that T. Higgins is your guy and you really are making a good faith effort to sign him long-term, it feels like you might be haggling over some pennies here.
I don't think you are. Again, and I'm just using Joel Corey's piece. It's not the be-all, end-all. He is a former agent. He's got a feel for the marketplace far better than I do, far better than probably a lot of people do. Again, he had 31 point whatever, 1 mil is the average, 60 mil fully guaranteed at signing, 90 mil in potential guarantees. Right now, I'm only guaranteed to pay that guy $26 million. So, I get it. So I think a lot of this haggling portion of it is, maybe it is nickels and dimes, but I think it's also in the guaranteed portion of it. Of what do you feel? What do you feel is a safe net for you to give T. Higgins guaranteed money with the injury history? I don't. I think everybody's just throwing that injury history out the window like it's not a factor. It has to be a factor.
It has to be a factor, but my thing would be like this: if it's a factor, then he's probably not your guy. Like you're going to sign
Maybe.
for like 2 or 3 million less average annual value and feel good about that? No, you're still going to have to
Maybe.
guarantee him a ton of money. So it's like if you don't think he is durable enough to be worth this money, then I feel like you probably shouldn't be trying to negotiate a long-term contract. Maybe this is the end of the road. You just say, we're franchise tagging you this year. We're
It
trying to
could
make a run
be.
with you this year. And then that's the end of it. And I'm okay with that if that's the solution. But I just think then we're getting a lot of lip service about trying to negotiate a long-term contract when that really might not be the plan.
I said this to you in that that silly ESPN story that sources said the Bengals are going to try to sign Higgins, Hendrickson, and Chase. Well, sure, nobody ever didn't think they're not going to try, and that's I think where the semantics are. I mean, I do think they're going to try, but at some point, I'm going to try to buy a new car here pretty soon. I haven't bought one in 12 years. I'm going to try to buy I would like to try to buy a Porsche. Probably not going to be able to afford that, so I'm going to have to try to buy something else. May not be able to afford that, so I'm going to try. It doesn't mean I'm going to do. I can say try all I want. They can say try all they want. Doesn't mean they're going to do. I think they're going to try.
So
try
do you?
To what extent?
Would you? So what I just laid out there, do you think that's more than likely the scenario? Do you think they're actually probably not trying to negotiate a long-term deal with T at his?
I think they are at what they feel is the right price. And I honestly, I don't want to pretend to know what that right price is.
Gotcha. Do you think? I mean, a lot of people, it seemed like, thought that you mentioned they couldn't have negotiated till the end of this past 2024 season. So you had a 2-month window between then and now where you had to franchise tag him. Is it unrealistic for people to think they could have gotten something done in that period? Because that seemed to be what most of the people getting upset was about. Like, how did you not get a deal done by now? And it's I didn't think that was ever going to happen based on what you and others had said.
That's where I go back to, I don't know where their camp has set a number. I don't know where the Bengals camp has set a number. Are we this far apart? Are we this far apart? Are we apart on guarantees? Are we apart on length of contract? I think there's a lot of back and forth that goes on that I just don't know if anything was going to be able to get done in 2. I don't think there was a number that the Bengals could have said that T's camp would have said, I'm good. And I don't think there's a number that T's camp could have said that the Bengals said, that sounds good. Let's get this done.
So they have until mid-July now to work out a long-term deal?
July 15th. Yeah, July 15th.
Okay. The other bit of news in Bengals land was Sam Hubbard announced on social media that he is retiring. Played 7 years, all with the Bengals, 104 games. He was a part of that Super Bowl team. Just an awesome career, an awesome way to end it, an awesome way to go out. I thought this was really cool that he just did it on his own terms. Yep. He didn't go to another team. I assume, Skinny, and I imagine this is, you can fill us in maybe on the details here. Do you think the Bengals probably went to him and said, yeah, we're going to have to cut you for a cap situation? And he said, okay, no problem. I'll just ride off into the sunset.
Yeah. And the only thing I wonder is, did the Bengals, say, hey, we're going to have to cut you for cap reasons. We'd like to bring you back for a year at $2.5 million, to name a small price. And if you're Sam, that sounds like a lot of money. It is to all of us, but Sam's taking care of his money. He's a smart guy. He's going to have a bright future in whatever he does. I mean, this is a guy that, honestly, he wasn't very good this past year. He played with a significant amount of injury. I mean, I remember talking to him like week 4 or 5, and I said, are you still bothered by injury? He said, yeah, but I don't want to talk about that. I just don't. And he was dealing with a hamstring injury into the season and playing with it. And I think you get to a stage in life when you're a smart guy who's got a lot of other things you can and want to do in life, that at some point the money isn't worth it to go, I'm not putting myself through more injury stuff. I've had a fine career. I go out on my own note. I've got plenty of money. He's a finance major. Hell, he can probably go run a Fortune 500 company before all is said and done. I think you just get to that point where, you know what? Yeah, I'm not playing for $2.5 million. I don't know if that's what the Bengals did, but I guarantee you they told him he was going to be a cap casualty. We all have written that, so it's not like this was going to come as a surprise to anybody. Hell, I'm sure he knew that he was not going to play this year for the $9 million that he was going to be paid. I mean, they were always going to whack that off the books. I just wonder if they came back and said, Sam, we'd like to have you back. Be a one down guy, first down guy on the edge. We'll pay you $2.5 million with some incentives. And he thinks long and hard and goes, nah, it's not worth it for me to do that. But thank you. I'm just going to retire as a Bengal. I'm guessing that's what happened. From
a fan's perspective, it's pretty cool that this is the way it ended, because this year did feel like a little bit of like it's getting to that point. You're not really that guy anymore. It feels like you're really slipping here and becoming a bit of a weak link. You stick around another year, And then you just start fans are crapping on you and they don't want to see you
Right.
out there anymore. It becomes kind of that negative connotation attached to you. Whereas it's still like if you say Sam Hubbard's name, the immediate thing that pops in my mind is the 98-yard return against the Ravens in the 2022 wildcard game. And now it always will be. That'll be the first thing that I think of with Sam Hubbard immediately is just like, what a great career, hometown guy, one of the most memorable plays in Bengals history, certainly the most memorable play of my lifetime. And then how about the fact that his last play as an NFL player is him catching a touchdown? What
I was going
a
to say,
storybook ending.
yeah, I was going to say that I was going to ask you that question. What a great bar bet that'll be in 5 or 7 years. What was Sam Hubbard's last play as a Bengals player? Was it a sack? Was it a tackle for loss? Was it a safety? And you stump a bunch of people. And you go, nope, he caught a touchdown pass.
Yep.
What a way to end it.
It's great. I mean, his first and only touchdown reception. And I just like the fact that there's not going to be a contract dispute. He's
Right.
not going to another team for cheap, not playing well, and then bashing the organization in Cincinnati for not meeting his demands or anything like that. It's just like he's riding off into the sunset. He's been such a big fixture here with Cincinnati's Children's and all the charity work he does. Like, I'm sure he's going to continue to be around doing that stuff. It's just a feel-good moment, I guess, in
I agree.
a sports world where we don't always get those.
No, I agree. And it's interesting. I read a piece on Bengals.com. We tried to talk to him yesterday, and they couldn't set up a press conference or a Zoom conference for us, which is fine. I get it. But I guess he talked to Bengals.com, which is fine. It's in-house. I understand it. He didn't think that the fumble return was the biggest play he made in Bengals history. He thought the back-to-back sacks against Kansas City in the AFC Championship game were the biggest plays. And maybe he's right.
Wow, that's a good point. I mean, for him, he probably doesn't look as the fumble recovery as impressive of a play, too.
Right.
Like the sack is the harder thing for him to accomplish, right?
Yeah, that one sack, because I think they only rushed 3 on the one play where he had that one sack, was really a big play and impressive. And maybe for him, it's like the fumble just popped in my head and my hands. I just ran.
Yeah, that's a good point. Interesting. All right, anything else on the Bengals, Skinny?
No, just for housekeeping's sake, there's probably going to be a couple more cap casualties. I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see Jermaine Pratt get cut. We already saw Alex Kappa get cut this week and actually get signed by the Raiders. Zach Moss might be in the cap casualty category. So I think there's a couple more guys that could get in. A reminder that the free agency negotiation period starts this coming Monday, and then free agents can officially start signing after 4 o'clock on Wednesday.